Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This reading is a pick a card or pick a group reading based on ancestor communication, connection, or messages from your ancestors. I'm going to go ahead and put up an image on the screen, and from this image you need to choose which imagery calls to you or you feel drawn to, and if you need to, you can pause the video, take time to close your eyes, take a deep breath in, exhale, and as soon as you open your eyes, whatever picture just you gravitate to or your vision gravitates to, that is the image you are supposed to click on. And once you know, go ahead and check the down box below and find the group that you are supposed to choose. Click on that and you can skip all of this and go directly to that imagery. Once you have gotten your reading, if there is more information that you would like, clarity or something that's personal to you, be sure to check out my website for personalized readings that's individual to you, any questions that you have or any clarity that you seek. All right, let's go ahead and begin. All right, group number one, I am connecting with a sense of newness whenever I connect with you. This card that fell out says possibilities. So this is something that you're new on regarding possibilities with ancestor connection. This could mean that you are fresh or new to the idea of connecting with your ancestors or communicating with your ancestors. Your practice is new. This also can mean that you are have already established a practice or a connection with your ancestors. However, you are in the process of trying to maybe tweak it or refine it or trying to get into a better connection or a better sense of how you can expand your practice, how you can expand what it is that connecting with your ancestors can provide for you, not only on a spiritual level, but also on a physical level. Like, how can this make your existence here on earth better? How can this make it so that you feel like your life path is being guided in some way beyond just your mind or your thoughts, that there are people from your bloodline that has your back in the physical realm. But whatever the case may be, this is just really tapping into some sense of newness, some sense of expanding, whether it is absolutely brand new or just something that you are hoping to expand in a sense of newness for your practice. Either way applies. Either way still is impacted. Let me go ahead and see what else we have. We're pulling up symbols. Believe the word that comes through the heaviest is the word symbols, and I feel like they're letting you know that there are things that you already attach to or you feel resonates with the idea of connecting with your ancestors, and you're just starting to question, is it really the case? The connections you're making, are they actually legitimate connections, or is it just something that you are making up in your mind? And there's two things for that I want to clarify. One is that most likely it is. There are tons of symbology all around us, and they're always trying to communicate with us. Our ancestors, whether we know them because we lived with them before they transitioned, or we know them because they're just of our bloodline, they are always trying to communicate. They are always trying to connect with us. They're always trying to send messages and somehow connect with us. The other part of that is that once you have decided that you want a specific symbol to be connected with a specific part of your ancestor, a person of your ancestor, be it someone that you have known in this lifetime or someone that you feel like you may have known from a previous lifetime, once you've chosen that symbology, the truth of the matter is that that is what will be used. They will utilize that. So if you, for whatever reason, think of tobacco every time you think of your grandfather, whether or not that is something that they have used before, once you've established that connection, they will use it in the future. Practical magic energy is letting me know that you can make this as simple as possible. You do not have to be tapping into some great expansive message. You don't have to be tapping into some like wide range or thought process as far as connections. You don't have to think big. You can think simple. You can think easy. You can think practical. So however you're hoping to connect with them, whatever it is you're hoping to gain from establishing a connection, be it new or just expanding it, You can make it simple. Be practical in your ideas. Be practical in your practice as you move forward. We're continuing on with air element state of mind, and this is just letting me know that you really need to set your intentions. Once you set the intentions and establish the intentions, that's going to really let you know what direction this has a potential of going. You just have to be open to it. That's going back to if you always have a specific scent or food or smell or color or symbology or animal that you connect with someone specific in your bloodline, someone specific in your ancestor line, you can just automatically request that that be the image that they bring for you, or that they present themselves with, or they communicate with you. And once you've established that, they will come through with that connection. So it's a state of mind, intention. You just got to be a little more open and to possibilities, the practicalities, the simplicity of it. You don't have to be hard and heavy and make it long and confusing. Firefly auras is letting me know that you just absorb your surroundings, get a little bit more familiar with everything that is happening around you. Don't be doubting what you feel or know whenever you are experiencing energies or things around you. And it can be auras, it can be colors, it can be, you know, that state of being where you're meditative, or you're in that sleep state where you kind of half wake up and you notice auras or colors. But it doesn't have to be that specific. It can be more than that. It can be just a sense when you're out and you get a sense of an energy that is around you, and you know it, you recognize it. There's something within your DNA that recognizes it, that lets you know. And again, this does not have to be just something that you knew, or somebody that you knew in this particular life. It could actually be someone that you feel like you know, even though you never knew them. And maybe it's a great several times back ancestor. So you didn't know them in this lifetime, but you feel like you know them on a spirit energy field. It can be that as well. And just, again, state of mind, really opening up to the intentions, opening up to the possibilities, allowing yourself to recognize your ability to connect, and recognize that you know what you know, and you don't need to be constantly doubting what a part of you within your gut, within your core, knows to be the reality. Ace of Cups is letting me know that you have the potential of really opening up your intuition, your connection, that path of communication between you and them. It is possible. They're letting me know that they're referring me back to that practical magic concept. So really connecting with them from a very practical point of view. You don't need to be doing something that's intense. You don't need to be doing something that's extravagant. You don't have to be making it like a huge elaborate ritual. It can be simple. It can be something that you have already established in your practice right now. It can be something as simple as having an ancestor altar, and an ancestor altar can be something as simple as having the top of a dresser, or something like a shelf on your bookshelf that is dedicated to someone that you love, or someone that you know specifically, or just from a very generalized idea. You can have an image of someone who has transitioned that you feel was a mentor in this life, and you want to continue to be a mentor in the next life. You can have their imagery, or you can have elements from them, from their lifetime. You can also have something that was passed down from family, from generation to generation, an heirloom of some sort, a clock or a book, or a set of kitchen utensils, wooden spoon, something simple. It can also be something that is representative. So let's say for some reason you know that you have a recipe that has corn in it that got passed down from mother to daughter over and over again, generation after generation. And so therefore you can have corn to be something that symbolizes that connection, not just with your mother, but all the way back your maternal line. And this can apply anyway. It doesn't have to be just with mothers. It can be with fathers. It can be with brothers. It can be with aunts, uncles, cousins. It can be the who you perceive to be the matriarch or the patriarch of your family line. But you can do a simple altar setup. It does not have to be something elaborate or extravagant. It can be something as simple as just a corner of your dresser, a corner shelf on a bookcase that's in your room. The corner of a stand, a bed stand, or a stand that's in your living room, whatever the case may be. You do not have to be extravagant. It can be simple, and and it can have very simple symbology that means something to you, so that nobody knows what it is when they see it. They just think it's just part of your decoration, but this is a possibility for you. Queen of Wands is the next card that I have, and this is letting me know that it's time to take action. Allow your intuition to guide you, but follow through. When you get those hits of intuitive sparks, don't just sit there and question, am I right? And don't analyze it. Don't try to break it down. Just when you get that spark of intuitive push, follow through with it. Allow yourself to just go with it, whatever the case may be. Ask questions later after you put it together. Allow yourself to feel it in the moment while you receive it, while you do the follow through, while you step back and look at what you presented. Then you can kind of look at it and question and allow your intuition to guide you. But don't be hesitating. Don't be taking intuitive hits and then feeling like you need to break it down and analyze it and find logistics of it. Don't be spending time researching to see if it's true connection. If you know within your gut, if you know within your DNA, if you know within your core that this is an intuitive spark, follow through with it. Allow yourself to just go with it. Allow yourself to feel the inspiration and just move forward in whatever direction that seems to be taking you. The Sun card is letting me know that there's connections and happiness that you are looking for, that has to do with the connection of ancestors. It has to do with your future and where you feel like you may or may not want to go. It has to do with that feeling that light or fire or that spark of inspiration that you're looking for. This is all available to you, but you need to open yourself up a little bit more with your ancestor connection to make this happen. But what you were hoping to move towards and how you were hoping that when you move forward, there is a connection with your ancestor and that process. This is just letting you, the Sun card is letting me know that that light that you're hoping to move in the direction towards is available to you, but you got to kind of enact a lot of these things. Looking for this symbology, utilizing ones that you know fits true to you. Stopping yourself with trying to analyze and logistically figure out how all of this is rational. Take that spark of inspiration and move with it, because you know in your gut that that's what it is. And that possibility that you were looking for, that movement into the potential, it's going to be there, whether you're brand new at this or you're at a point that you were hoping that you can expand or create a sense of newness to your practice that's already established. These are all applicable to you. All right, group number 1, that is all I have for you. I hope this has provided you some clarity and insight and inspiration for where you can take your ancestor practice and connection. And hopefully I'll see you in a future video. All right, group number 2. As soon as I was setting up and started to shuffle and pick up the deck, started to shuffle, the message that I got through, the word that came to me immediately was depth. And so there is a depth in your ancestor practice that either you were yearning for or your ancestors are yearning for you to take your practice. So you have I feel like you have an established practice to some degree. It doesn't matter how new it is. This is something that's already somewhat developed, but it's time to take it deeper. It is time to kind of intensify. Like, I'm getting some very hardcore intense vibes with this particular feeling that I'm getting regarding how deep there is a desire for this to go. And it feels very much that your ancestors are calling for this more so than you may be. I feel there's a good bit of you that you are feeling that calling. You are feeling that there is a desire for you to deepen your practice, to deepen your connection, but there is some hesitancy on your part. And it just feels like a lot of the hesitancy is actually based on maybe some old ideas of what ancestor work is, or maybe some old ideas that we have been ingrained to think of ancestor work, and they're just trying to get you to kind of release yourself from those old ideas and to deepen your practice. And I feel like this has been kind of going on for quite some time. There has been a call for you to deepen your connection for quite some time, but you have been hesitant. You've been a bit worried about going the direction that you've been kind of considering, just because of old antiquated ideas. And so we have the card Inner Circle. Strength has fallen out. It's one of the first cards that fell out, and I feel like this is coming in very strong with that idea or the message regarding creating a sacred circle. If you are really hesitant, if you do have some sort of fears that are deeply ingrained in some regard regarding ancestor connection, that's kind of keeping you from connecting in a way that you feel that you kind of sort of want to, but you just don't feel safe in doing that yet, find a way to create a sacred circle that you feel connected in, that you feel that you are protected in. This can include creating a salt circle. This can include creating a crystal circle. This can include a candle circle. This can include prayer or a mantra. This can include all of that or more, whatever your inspiration takes you or however it guides you. Do a little bit of research if you have to regarding this, and go with what resonates. And you know that when you create that sort of sacred protective circle, that you can feel safe within that circle. And then I feel like I need to continue with that and letting you know that once you are done with your practice, whatever the case may be, make sure that you close the circle completely and close the portal completely. And this is all going to be for your peace of mind, because right now you feel vulnerable for some reason. And that's one of the reasons why you're not listening and you're not going with that call to deepen your practice. And so this message is just letting you know that you are being called. They're calling you to deepen your practice, to deepen your connection. And you need to find a way that you feel safe. You need to find a way that you can kind of enact something that allows you to feel safe so that you do make that connection. For whatever reason, when I see this particular card, Midnight Margaritas, the first thing I thought was salt. I feel like that there is going to be something regarding salt with your connection and how it's going to make it so that your connection can be stronger. So I would research salt connection in some regard and how that may apply with this. It doesn't have to always be that, but this could be a starting point for you. Then the rest of it is truth. I actually have an old ancestor ritual video. I'll look it up and see if I can put it out there. But if I don't put it out there for you, there are ancestor videos out there regarding creating a circle of some sort. But also there is a ritual that I have done for myself in the past regarding using salt as a means to cleanse and purify the communication lines between me and my ancestors so that I can get a better handle on the truth. And I think that this is tapping into what I was already saying regarding how there is an ingraining that has occurred regarding your connection with your ancestor. And so some of that hesitancy is because of this ingraining. And so you need to cleanse the idea. You need to cleanse some of your thought process regarding connecting with your ancestors so that you can purify those communication lines and feel safe. So it's not just creating a sacred circle, but it's also kind of cleansing and purifying your understanding of ancestors and ancestor communication, and therefore allowing you to feel safe. We're continuing on with clear quartz, divine connection. And again, this is all about connection. This is all about deepening your connection. So again, I feel like this means that you already have established to some degree, that can be very variable depending on who you are as to what degree your connection already is established, but they really want you to deepen that connection. And I find it interesting that clear quartz and salt has come up, and that was what I mentioned when I told you to create a circle. So these are elements that you can use. The salt that I felt came through with this particular card, and then the crystal is also something that's coming through. So if you have crystals or you can have access to getting some crystals, those might actually come in handy when you are creating a sacred circle. It's also something that you can hold while you are meditating in hopes to get into a state of being that allows you to communicate with your ancestors. It can be a portal, and because quartz crystals have that clarifying capacity to them, you could have just one quartz crystal and hold it in your hand and use it as a gateway that you can meditate while you hold it, and it is the gateway or the portal to your ancestors. But it's also powerful enough to make sure that it's a clear connection at some degree. These are just elements that you can utilize while you're trying to connect and deepen that connection, deepen that communication. Do your research. I feel like that comes in handy. Doing the research and allowing yourself to be guided by your intuition, your higher self, or your ancestors as to what it is that you read that resonates can be very beneficial. So when you were doing your research in this regard, you were essentially trying to connect in such a way while you were reading, so that while you're reading it, you feel like you have a message coming through from whoever that is guiding you, saying, that's it, that's what you're supposed to do, or that's it, you need to utilize that, or that's it, that's what you need to be inspired by. We're going with auras, observe, and I feel like this is coming in strong, letting you know to just be aware of your surrounding, be aware of the energy that is around you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to see colors. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to see orbs. If you do, that's okay, that works too, but this is also letting you know that you're surrounded by energy, so be observant of the energy that is around you. and make the changes that you may or may not need to make while you're doing that. Rest and recharge. Candle was the last card from this particular deck. I feel like the candle aspect is coming in again. I already tapped into that when I talked about the inner circle regarding creating an inner circle that makes you feel safe and secure so you can start deepening your communication practice. And one of the things that I mentioned was the salt, the clear quartz, and the candles. This might be something that you can research. I find it really interesting that all three of these came through, and that's what I started with. So I feel like this is all part of the message. These are things that you should research, maybe even potentially use all of them in your making of your circle or creating of your sacred circle for this work that you're hoping to eventually do. But also the rest and recharge is letting you know that make sure that you're adequately rested when you do participate in any sort of ancestor connection when you're hoping to deepen it. And that is coupled with you beginning this practice with a sense of hesitation and or potential fear. So make sure you are well rested. Make sure that you absorb your own energy when you're entering in this practice. So do the work that allows you to feel well rested, and do the work that allows you to feel secure in your capacity, your potential, your ability to connect and protect yourself, as well as the capacity and the ability for your ancestors to protect you while you're doing this. You want to make sure that your energy is good. You want to make sure the room energy is good. You want to make sure that that you are well rested mentally as well as physically when you begin this practice, because I feel like I said in the beginning, this feels intense. Whatever it is that you're hoping to begin or what you're hoping to connect with, it feels very intense. You're hoping to not just deepen, but intensify your connection. So do the work, do the research. You can get there. We're going, continue with the King of Cups. I feel this is coming in strong with a masculine sense of protection from the other side. So this can be a deity. It can also be a specific ancestor that you feel provides protection for you, or you feel has a sense of that warrior protection for you. So this feels, again, this is very masculine. This feels someone in the spirit realm. So this is someone that you know who's transitioned, that was a male protector or had male energy protection. Feels very male, not just male energy, actually male. It's also potentially a spirit guide that you already know or are aware of that you feel is your protector, or guardian angel of some sort that you feel is your protection. It can also be an ancestor that you may not have met, but you just know is always there for you or in your family as a sense of protector. So I feel like this is letting you know that this is someone that you can call in when you are going through the practice of setting up a sacred circle that you can feel that it makes you feel safe and secure. This particular person, whoever it is someone that you can actually call upon to participate in protecting you while you are beginning this practice and engaging in this particular practice. Six of Swords is letting me know that it has to do with travel. I feel like this has to do with something that has to do with astral projection in some regard in how you are going to connect. So that meditative, I kind of tapped in a little bit of that when I talked about the clear quartz and holding it as a means of a portal of communication to the spirit realm. It's not just you communicating, it's also you really kind of tapping into the concepts of astral projection. You going there to meet with them, to speak with them is what I'm getting with the Six of Swords. And that may be one of the reasons why there is some hesitancy or potential fear in regards to this particular call to deepen your practice, is because this is going to a different level. This is taking it from just having an altar or a corner of a space that you dedicate to your ancestor and maybe lighting a candle. This is going a whole new level. You're not just communicating by seeing symbols or thinking about them or talking to them. This is the deepening of the practice that's literally having you sit down with the purpose and the intent of actually communicating in spirit. Your spirit travels to them and communicates with them. And that's where the protective circle comes into play. That's where the research comes into play. That's where the rest and recharge, and make sure you are well established in being rested and your energy is good and the energy in the room is good and the energy around you is good. And also potentially calling on this particular figurehead that you feel is a protector in some regard. We're continuing on with the Tower. And I feel like this is just a bit of a warning to let you know that this will change things. And which is one of the reasons reasons why I feel the fear is coming through. There's definitely a fear of change because of this practice is one of the reasons why you're not engaging, because you know this is going to change a lot for you. And this is actually true. It is going to change quite a bit for you. One of the biggest things is perception. And when our perception changes, it really changes in how we feel we can move around in our current environment. You know, there's a meme that goes around regarding how once you're enlightened, what you appear or feel like you are at work. And it's basically someone in a big bird costume at an office conference meeting. And that's, you know, that's how you feel. You're awkward. You feel awkward. You feel like you don't fit in. And this just does have an impact on us. And it has an impact on where we continue to carry ourselves or where we continue to progress. And so I feel like the tower moment or the tower card is letting me know that this is part of the root of the fear. You actually know that this is going to change you in some regard, even if it's only something that you know on a subconscious level. And the card is actually coming through also to let you know that there is truth in that. There is truth in the fact that this will change you. So one of the things that you're going to have to work on in the process of all of this is, are you okay with the change? Is the change that you think on a subconscious level or consciously might happen, are you okay with it? And the other question of that, it would be, are you okay if you don't engage? Are you okay if none of this happens, if that change doesn't happen? Lastly, the Chariot card is letting me know that there's a sense of control and a sense of needing to go with the flow. So there's that sweet spot where you know how to go with the flow, but you don't absolutely give up all of your sovereignty. And that the thought of the message of free will, you have a choice. You always have a choice. So when you're going down on this path and you go through the work and you do the research, you always have a choice. You can always decline. You can always turn around. You can always say no. So let that be a means of letting you know that while you are engaging in this process and where it may go, you maintain your sovereignty at all times. And if at any time you feel you're coming up against something that's telling you that you're not allowed to have your sovereignty, then you're allowed to say, no, that's not for me, and walk away. So however that applies, the Chariot is letting me know that it's reminding you that you have free will and you can engage in free will when you engage in this practice and however you progress with deepening your ancestor connection. Okay, group number 2. I hope this reading has provided you some inspiration and some insight and your communication and connection with your ancestors. And hopefully this helps you to deepen your practice. And I will see you in a future video. Group number 3. All right, I'm getting just this kind of a not sure where to begin sense. So however that applies to you, not sure where to begin. That is the biggest energy that's coming through. So you're just looking for answers. You're looking for a starting point to some regard. It just keeps getting repeated over and over again. Not sure where to begin. Not sure where to begin. Not sure where to begin. Rose Quartz is the first card that seems to have fallen out. Healing. So that's your beginning point. Healing. There is some healing that you need to do regarding your ancestor connection. And first of all, this feels very strong. It's coming in very strong that there are some of you who have very specific ancestors that you have a desire to connect with. You may or may not have already gone to a medium in hopes to connect with this particular person. So it's someone that you knew in your personal life. It doesn't matter how brief it may or may not have been. And it can even be someone who you may not have met, but had an impact on your life, like your mother's mother. You may have heard stories of that person and the impact that that person had on your mother and therefore had an impact on you, that sort of connection. So it's very closely connected. This is very personally connected. There's some healing that has to be done. There is some trauma in some regard or some wrongdoing that has occurred. And this is impacting your ancestor connection in some regard. And if this isn't addressed, then you're going to continue to have that block that you're feeling. You're going to continue feeling like you can't seem to go to the next step. You can't seem to progress. This is the blocking point. The healing that needs to be done is the stumbling block. It's the mountain that you have to climb. It's the thing you have to do. It's the next step. So however that applies to you personally, some of you know right away. Some of you might have to do a little searching a little bit more, because the ancestor healing concept might go back even further. It might be something along the lines of feeling like the religion that your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents for several generations were raised in actually makes it so that you have a block with connecting, and so with your ancestors, and so there is a disconnect from that regard, and so there's a process of healing that you have to engage in that your most recent ancestors may not have engaged in, but adds to what needs to be done or what needs to be focused on. Death Watch, Beetle is the next card we have. Fear coming in strong. I feel like the fear is coming in regarding once you break down the childhood religion that you and your most recent ancestors have been raised with, there's a fear of what that means regarding their spirit, their soul. Where are they now? They believe such and such based on their training, based on their childhood ingraining. How can I communicate with them if I'm not practicing in the same way? Or how can I communicate with them if they believe this? How does our family belief system that we have been raised with impact their spirit bodies, their afterlife? Do they still, I feel like the fears also, do they still hold to those beliefs? And if they still hold to those beliefs, how can I connect and communicate with them? Will they not see that I'm doing something wrong? Will they not perceive that I'm doing it wrong? Will they not hold it against me? How can I connect with someone that believed one way and I'm absolutely uprooting that belief that we've been taught generation after generation? So that there's a disconnect regarding, it comes with your ingrained perception of both spirits and afterlife. And then that plays a part in whether or not you feel you'll have a right to communicate with them. So the best example that I can give, and this is a very personalized analogy, so you can adapt this to how it needs to apply to you. But probably the most mainstream understanding of religion, it would be Christianity, especially in America. And so as a Christian, if you participate in any sort of occult type practices, you are perceived to be on your way to what would be the Christian hell. And so if you believe this, and this is what this is still influencing your belief system right now. And so if you believe that this is how your parents, your grandparents, or however many recent generations you go back also believe this, and there's just there is a lack of how are they, if they have gone to the Christian heaven, going to communicate with me if I'm practicing something that they, when they were living, perceived to be something that would send me to the Christian hell. All right. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Apply that however it applies. That is just an analogy. So if it's not Christianity, if it's another religion, but it's still that disconnect regarding what they were believed and what they were raised with, and they have passed believing that, and you're engaging in something that they considered to not be correct, the fear comes into line in that how are you going to communicate with them? Because you're believing and practicing something that they believed and thought you should not be practicing. And so this is the healing. This is part of the healing. This is something that you have to work on. And I am not going to give you the answers for that in this particular reading, because that's part of your process. This is something that you have to engage in the research on and really dig deep with your personal feelings about this, and try to awaken or open yourself up to potentials or possibilities and where they may or may not lead. Because I hate to say it, but this is on you, because this is a personal feeling. This is personally rooted. You can seek mentorship for this. You can seek research or talking with someone who might be able to give you better answers regarding looking in and diving deep with you personally. You could get a reading that can kind of connect, that is more personalized to you. That will help you break it down. But this is the beginning point of your healing process. This is what this is where the fear is rooted in. And this is what the healing has to begin with. Practical magic energy is where we're going with next. And I feel like this is just letting you know that you already get a sense if something is actually evil. You already have a sense of when something comes across your radar and you know that you were ingrained to believe that was evil, but because of the practices that you've already put into place, you can tell that it's not as evil as what they were saying. So when you tap into the energy, you know whether it's their definition or actually what you know to be real and true by your intuitive aspects or your intuitive connections that you have been practicing and kind of putting into place. So just kind of allowing yourself to be guided by your intuition and your understanding now. And each little step that you take will expand that for you. It'll expand your reach of intuition. It'll expand your reach of intuition as far as even letting you know if something's not kosher or something's not real or right or is not in correct alignment, however that may apply to you. But you already have a good sense of energy. You know when something doesn't feel right versus when something is being told to you that's not supposed to feel right, but you know deep down that that's not true. This is something you need to hone at a little bit more when you do your research, when you're moving forward, when you are trying to elicit this healing process. We had 3 cards fall out. Blood bond connection. This is coming in strong, ancestors. So I know this is an ancestor reading, so it just seems like that would be an obvious thing, but this is just coming in, letting me know the image in this particular card is really letting me know that there is a desire for connection. And the truth is, no matter who you are or what stage in life you're in, our ancestors do want to connect with us. Our ancestors do want to communicate with us. So they're just trying to reach across the chasm that has been created because of the way we were ingrained, what we were raised to believe, the systems that were put into place to kind of create a disconnect with our ancestors. They're really wanting to break through this. There is a gap though. They're not able to. You have to go through this healing process to kind of close that gap. The last 2 cards with this particular deck, we have Cauldron, Transformation, and Climbing Rosebush, Consequences. And it's just letting me know that the transformation is letting me know that you are in charge of this process. You got to take it one step at a time. You have to recognize that it happens slowly. The rose bush is also letting me know that, you know, when you plant this and you put the trellis on there, it's not this full of blossoms that quickly. There's a process. There is a time period that goes from the beginning to where you get to this. And sometimes it takes quite some time. It's not just one summer. Sometimes it takes so many summers. Now, that is not to say that this is going to be several years in process. For some people it is, because there is a lot to break down. There's a lot to heal from. There's a lot to work through, and there's nothing wrong with that. But just know that to have a fully fledging ancestor practice where you completely embrace it without any fear, without any reservation, without any question, and it just becomes an integral part of your everyday life, that does take time. For it to be such a full blossomed part of your existence will take time, but it starts one step at a time. It starts with one research, one belief, one connection with understanding, one healing of one wound at a time that will get you there. So it is a process. There's definitely an overall message of it is a process, but the only way that you can get through it is if you start engaging with that process, and you can do it slowly. There's nothing wrong with taking it slow. There's also nothing wrong with trying something and feeling like it didn't resonate or didn't connect and putting it aside, or feeling like you did start something and it did connect, but you're not ready for it. You got some other healing to do before you can participate in it. You know, it's the equivalent of if you were playing some sort of sport, or let's say you got an injury of some sort, and say for whatever reason you were walking and you slipped and you sprained or strained or did damage to your ankle. You have the initial healing process where you have to wear something to kind of keep that secure, and then eventually you will take that off. But even once you take off the device that keeps your ankle secure, you're not running the very next day. Now you have to rebuild those muscles before you can participate in some rigorous activity. So the process is slow. It's the same sort of thing. There is specific transition periods in the transformation from going from being disconnected, having the gap that we now suffer because of the way we were raised in regards to ancestor connection, to getting to the point where it just becomes fully blossomed and it's just an integral part of our everyday existence. There are steps. The transformation happens slowly. Sometimes we tend to some wounds and let it go and tend to other wounds and then return to the first wound, so on and so forth. But this is the process, and take it slow. Allow yourself to take it slow. Allow yourself to have breathing room and breaks. Give yourself grace in the process, and celebrate your wins. When you do connect with your ancestors and you know it to be real, and you know it to be true, and you know it to have been something meaningful to you and to your journey, document it so that you can reflect on that. When you have other times where you don't feel nearly as strong in a connection, you can reflect back on that. Document the things that you need to celebrate so you can continue to celebrate them for a long time to come. Ace of Pentacles is coming in reverse for whatever reason, and I just feel like that is coming in strong, letting you know that it's not going to be a fast-growing period. This is slow. This is sort of just tapping into what I've already said regarding how this process is going to take some time. You plant the seed, you gotta let it go. It starts to grow underground before it sprouts above ground. There is a process. This is really just honing in, hammering in that message that this is a process. This is not something that happens quickly. Again, I feel like I have to repeat that idea of whenever you do experience something good and real and tangible, and you know that it is something that is worth celebrating in your progress with Ancestor Connection, write it down. Get a journal if you have to that's specific to Ancestor Connections to write down your experiences, so that whenever you feel like you're not progressing, you can go back and reread those entries, and you can see the recordings of all the times, however big or small that they were, that you actually were validated or you experienced something genuine, to kind of remind yourself that you're on the right path, and also to give yourself the space, to give yourself the grace in this transformation period. We're continuing with the Fool. This is just really letting me know that there is definitely a newness to this journey that you're on. There's a newness to this experience, and of course, when it's this new, there's definitely a sense of just hesitancy and fear, kind of bringing in that hesitancy and fear. Allow that to guide you. Allow it to guide you to, put the brakes on when you need to put the brakes on. Also, it can be something that can guide you regarding doing further research, having better understanding, if that's something that you have to apply. Allow it to help you to create the proper safety and precautions should that be something that you feel that you need to. You can allow your fear to guide you. You don't have to just completely dismiss and go all in. If that is not something that you feel that you are prepared or ready to do, you can allow that caution, that sense of caution, because it's not just fear as an excuse as much as it's fear that's allowing you to be caution. It is the equivalent of holding on to the banister while you're walking down the steps, because you don't feel that the steps are absolutely safe without that extra assistance. Maybe the steps are icy. You still have to go down the steps. You want to go down the steps, but in the process of going down the steps, just to make sure that you don't just fall all the way down and end up hurting yourself or bruising yourself, you grab a hold of the banister as a support system, so that you are using this cautionary tool as an assistance, so you can still carefully, slowly, and successfully get to the bottom of the steps. That is what I'm getting with this Fool card. Tapping into using the caution as a tool to help guide you and assist you, but not stop you, if that makes sense. Two of Wands is the last card that I'm going to draw, and this is letting me know that you are facing some heavy decisions. This is already tapping into a lot of what I've already said regarding this new journey of yours, really kind of getting into the right headspace for yourself, so you feel confident in the direction that you go and what you take it on and the approach that you take. This is letting me know that you are on the cusp of taking an action. You are on the cusp of really kind of grabbing hold of something that is before you, that you have been looking at for quite some time, and you felt has been the right direction, but you haven't really followed through quite yet, because you're still kind of looking at both options or multiple options. But you are at a point, and this is going to happen fairly soon, it feels, where you're finally going to take hold, and you're going to say, all right, that's it. Like, I know that this is what I want to go towards. This is the direction I want to go. This is what I know that I want to engage in. This is the practice I know that I need to be applying in my life. So this is kind of forward thinking, what's coming, and I feel like you're on the cusp of it. It's something that's actually going to be happening fairly soon for you, within the next week or so after hearing this reading. It doesn't matter how soon you're watching this after I've published it. It doesn't matter. This is a timeless reading. So if you're watching this and you've gotten to this point, this is letting you know that you're on the cusp. All of this is sort of coming together. Things are kind of becoming a little bit more clear for you. You're feeling a little bit more confident. So you're feeling like you can finally grab a hold and move forward. And that's where you are right now. All right, group number 3, this is all I have for you. I hope this has helped to settle a few things that you may have been considering or contemplating, or may have been making you feel a bit blocked in your progress for moving forward with ancestor connection. So hopefully this has provided you with what you needed to feel like you can finally grab a hold and move forward. That is all I have for you, and hopefully I will see you in a future video.